A lot of people think you have to have a lot of knowledge to start a business. I had something far more important than that. I had a dream. I had a clear image of who I wanted to be. I wanted to be the queen of New York real estate. The world was owned by the old boys network, rich guys that inherited businesses from their father and their father before. But somehow in my little mind, I thought, I'm going to be the queen of this town in real estate. And I moved toward it until one day I was written up in New York Magazine and they called me the queen of New York real estate. Well, lordy, lordy. When I built my business.
There you go. That was Barbara Corcoran talking about how she became the queen of New York real estate. If you don't know Barbara Corcoran, she's also on ABC Shark Tank, and she's awesome. She's great. And I, believe it or not, am a small domino in how Barbara Corcoran became the queen of New York real estate. Not that I really knew what the hell I was doing when I was 23 and buying real estate in New York and flipping properties, but I'm going to tell you the story about how my path connected with Barbara Corcoran's path. And this is similar to the previous story I told 2 episodes ago about Brandon Turner. He's a former co-host of the #1 podcast in real estate investing, Bigger Pockets podcast. He read my first book, $1 Million by 30. It was a small piece in the domino, building Brandon and giving him the motivation to buy his own, his first couple deals in real estate and set a goal for himself to be a millionaire by 30. And now he's written 12 books and got 500,000 followers on every social media account and is considered the face of real estate investing. And he has been a domino to so many other people. He's created real estate investors and wealth, and he's just passed the torch on. So I've been lucky enough to have crossed paths with Barbara Corcoran when I was in Brooklyn, New York, and did my first joint venture and my first partnership, which is what this episode's about. I get a lot of questions about, how do I invest in real estate if I don't have money? Or I'm a contractor. How do I get into real estate investing? Find people with money. My friend and I want to get in real estate investing. How can we partner up to create real estate deals? And it was actually my very first partnership, which led to me crossing paths with Barbara Corcoran. So it's been a fruitful situation for me. Like when Barbara just said, when she first got into real estate, it was a rich boys club. It was all a bunch of rich old white guys. And it still is to some point. And this is part of why I do it. I want to disseminate this. This is something that's for everyone. And I felt the same way when I was in Brooklyn. What business did I have buying apartment buildings in New York City at 22 and 23? But what I realized during this process is that, I could become an expert on my block. And I just went to every single open house. I researched every, I think 50 homes that were on my block. Some were apartment buildings, some were multifamily, some were single families. I just went and figured out what they sold for based on tax records, old real estate listings. And I just knew the value of every property on my block. And then when an open house came or whatever, I would go to that open house. And after a while, I just got comfortable. We're basically predicting like, oh, I think this will sell for this price eventually. Or, wow, this one's not priced, high enough. Or if this one just fixed up the bathroom, it would sell for $300,000 more, which is what the one, 3 doors down sold for a year ago. And so my predictions started coming true. And then that's when I give my self-confidence that I could identify opportunities. I could identify the value of a building and also, with some accuracy, predict what it would eventually sell for. And that just became a fun game for me. And so what eventually happened is my next door neighbor was just finished his own home renovation. He was a guy basically my age, maybe a couple of years older. And I was very impressed because I was living in a duplex in Brooklyn and he lived in the duplex next door and he just renovated it himself. And it was beautiful. And I was like, I can't believe someone close to me in age who's also interested in real estate lives next door, and he built a beautiful home. And so I went out and said, hey, I'm going to go look for a property. Why don't we partner up? Why don't we form an LLC together? And so that's exactly what we did. And I didn't have money at the time. And so, but I knew I had the instincts. And so I just thought if I could find the deal, then I could find the partners. And then I had to learn how to put the partners together. So that's what this episode's about. I'm going to walk you down my first path, which led to Barbara Corcoran buying the property. Once we purchased it, partnered up, renovated it, Barbara Corcoran bought the property. And that is why she's been so sweet to me. Since then, I've gotten her endorsement on 3 books here. The first one here you can see in red font. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe, well, it says Barbara Corcoran up here at the top. And she endorsed my book because I helped make her the queen of New York real estate. She helped me become a millionaire by 30, which is the name of this book, $1 Million by 30. What a steal for any entrepreneur. The advice in these pages is worth more than $1 million. Barbara Corcoran, founder of the Corcoran Group. At the time, the Corcoran Group was, and possibly still is, one of the biggest brokerages in New York City. So she was, if you're a real estate agent in early 2000, Corcoran was the real estate agent brokerage to work for. She also, I continued that relationship, and she endorsed my second book, The Subversive Job Search. And I know I've got that blurry background on, and it's not really helping me in this part of the show, but she said the subversive job search isn't just career advice that is thinking outside the box. It's making a whole new box. Now, she was Barbara Corcoran, real estate mogul and business expert, star of ABC's Shark Tank by the time this book came out. House Fire book. Yes, this is her at the top. She also endorsed my book. If you want to be financially independent and retire early, House Fire is a must read. Alan Corey makes real estate investing fun, practical, and painless. Barbara Corcoran, ABC Shark Tank. That's all she's got to say now about herself. So now, am I buddies with Barbara Corcoran? Is she going to recognize me on the street? Is she going to answer my phone call? No, none of all that. To be completely transparent, I've never actually met Barbara Corcoran. All my communication has been through her assistants, her real estate agents. I've seen emails that I've emailed her assistants that they've emailed to her, and they've emailed back to the assistant, and the email forwarded it back to me. So that's my relationship with Barbara Corcoran. Has she actually read any of these books? Probably not. I don't think that's how it works. Typically, how it works, I say, Barbara, I would like, and this goes for pretty much every, this is not unusual. This goes for every book quote that you see anywhere. It's, hey, Barbara, I'd love to, or whoever you want to endorse. Hey, Barbara, I'd love for you to endorse my book. Here's 3 quotes that I think may work for you. If you want one, if you approve, please pick one. And she'll sometimes pick one. Sometimes she writes her own with the help. I don't know if she does it herself or with the help of her assistants. But anyway, I get a quote back. That's how it works. The Brandon Turner quote, which is another very high, real estate person's quote to get. He actually wrote his own quote, so I give him credit. And he wanted to read that book in advance. I don't know if he actually did, but he went through the effort, so I appreciate that, Brandon. And I have met Brandon in person, so that is a little bit different than the Barbara story. But just want to let you know, I get that question a lot. How do I know Barbara Corcoran? And did she actually read your book? And so that answers that. So let me walk you through the first joint venture that led to this. And I think we'll keep going. If you're watching this live, feel free to leave comments. I'd love for you to leave comments, ask me questions. I love interacting with the audience as we go. We had a little Facebook issue where I wasn't seeing all the comments last time. I think that's fixed now. If you are on Facebook, you have to go to you have to go to StreamYard, which is the broadcasting platform that I use. And a little housekeeping here. Let me put up a graphic. StreamYard.com/Facebook. If I'm not seeing your comment, just give Facebook permission to show your comment on the screen and your name. So a little bit of housekeeping there, but I definitely encourage you to leave comments as we walk through the show. And I'm excited to keep talking. Also, continue the conversation. If you're not watching this live, I do a daily show at noon. If you're not watching this live, please go to the Discord, which is in my link tree here. It's also this QR code. That may be hard to read. Here's a bigger QR code that you can join the Discord, where we're going to talk about every episode, questions that are interesting to you. Try to build a community for real estate agents, real estate investors, mortgage lenders, contractors, crypto nerds, authors. These are all my interests. So let's get everyone in the same Discord, which is basically a chat forum, and you can do it there. And my shows are sponsored by Jasmine Home Lending. I'm a partner in the company. And so by getting your mortgage, home refinance, or any sort of investment lending, Jasmine Home Lending, it redirects to jasmineteam.com. So we're working on a new branding, new URL. But if it goes to jasmineteam.com, which is headed by the number one women's mortgage broker, Jasmine Crenetton at Waterstone Mortgage, that's the right company. So I had a few questions about that as well. And so let's keep talking. I'm trying to learn the software as we go, and I think I'm set up and ready to keep the story going. Okay, so this is 2004, 2005, just to set the origin story. I had bought 22. I just turned 22. I bought my first one-bedroom apartment. At 23, I had bought a duplex, and this is when I set a goal. I was just going to buy one property a year. First property, $100,000 apartment, one-bedroom apartment. I saved up $10,000 to buy that. Second property, $450,000 duplex in Brooklyn. And I know the prices aren't that now, but people thought prices were crazy then. So just know prices are always crazy, no matter when you're looking at $450,000 a year later, duplex that I moved into, 10% down, $45,000. I did not have $45,000. I had $20,000 saved up at that point. I borrowed $25,000 from friends, just passed around a hat, and then I offered to pay them back behind the scenes within 2 years, and I paid them back within 1 year, and that was based on the rental income that I was getting. Then I was into year 3. I did not have any money. 22, 23, 24. So now it's 24. If you wanted to know what 24-year-old Alan looks like, well, he was this handsome guy, right? With red eyes and very skinny, because I didn't have any money to feed myself. And this was the partner that I ended up partnering with. So if I mentioned Jim, this is Jim. This is a friend of mine's father. And so I knew he had money, but I didn't have money. So, but I also had this goal where I wanted to buy one property every single year. And I was going into year 3 without any money. And so what do I do? How can I pull that off? And so I found the deal, and I told myself, if I can find the deal and I'm excited about it, and I can just almost guarantee, like you can never guarantee an investment's going to go well. But if I can just put it on a spreadsheet and just say, this is going to make us money, and then I could just go to people who I knew had money. And honestly, it was just my friend circle's parents, because we were all 22, 23, 24. No one had money. And I was like, if I can just convince some of my friends' parents to invest with me, then then I can keep this goal alive. And so that's exactly what I did. And this blurry background is driving me nuts. So I am going to quickly see if I can change that live here. I don't think I can, but here you go. Yes, I can. Let's just do this. Okay. I saw my blurry black microphone right in my face, and that was driving me insane. Okay. A little bit brighter. Here we go. That being said, if you want to re-see the quotes for these books, these were the blurry books before. All right. So I went out and I started finding the deal. So just like I became an expert on everything in my block, I was like, well, nothing for sale on my block. I need to become an expert on a new part of town. I was excited about this new part of town in Brooklyn called Red Hook. On a map, let's see if I have a map here. Yeah. Let me pull up a map. In Red Hook, Brooklyn, it's on the peninsula, and it's got great views of the Statue of Liberty. Let me show you. So here you go. You're right on the water here. This is Governor's Island, which is right here. And then here is Liberty Island, and that's where the Statue of Liberty is. So pretty much you've got amazing views of the Statue of Liberty, where, pretty much everywhere in New York City. Who's not going to want a view of Statue of Liberty, right? This was unheard of at the time. This was just warehouses. For some reason, IKEA had just opened up here, so that started breaking news. This is 2005. I was living over here by the Brooklyn Navy Yard. So I sort of saw things changing around the waterfront. Also, I couldn't afford anything in the nice these inner neighborhoods. The subways sort of all just kind of run through here. And so these neglected parts, the Navy Yard and the Red Hook, were not being gentrified yet because it was difficult to get to a subway. You would have to take a bus to the subway in most cases, but that was what my budget could afford me at the time. So here's Red Hook, Brooklyn, and I was like, I see the potential for Red Hook, Brooklyn. The warehouse conversions was the thing that was started happening. They're turning into cool restaurants and loft spaces. And I just saw that energy sort of play out a little bit in Brooklyn Navy Yard, Fort Greene neighborhood. Dumbo had already gone through that. And Dumbo was like the hot area. And so it was just sort of spreading up the coast here to Greenpoint and a little bit spreading down the coast here to Red Hook. So I started just focusing, let's find as many properties as I could, every open house. It's not that big of a neighborhood. I wanted something that was on this main street here or close to it because that's where the stores were, the coffee shops, things like that. And so the way it worked back then, there was not an MLS in New York City at the time. I think they've sort of consolidated, and you can go to one website, Zillow. But the way that brokers made money in the early 2000s was they would just have their own website. And not everyone even had their website. And so you had to go to 20 different real estate brokerages websites to see what was for sale. And then there's a bunch of mom and pop real estate brokerage websites where you just walk in the door and say, what do you have for sale? And they didn't have any web presence. And they would flip through a book or just give me an address and say, this is what we've got, or a flyer or something like that. And so as a bargain hunter, I preferred to shop a lot of times in these small mom and pops because I knew that the big company, Corcoran, Corcoran.com, you became a big broker by having as many listings as possible, and they had the best websites and stuff. But then that would also get the most eyeballs. So if I was able to do the legwork, I could maybe find a diamond in the rough. And so I was walking through Red Hook, and I was trying to find the mom and pop brokerages that had storefronts. And ask some questions. And I saw it for sale by owner. It was in the sign window. And the building was called, it was 293 Van Brunt. It was this building right here. Now, I couldn't find my before photos. I had taken before photos, but I can't find them. But this is a recent photo, an after photo. But imagine, spray paint all on this side of the building. The roll gate was permanently pulled down because this is actually a mixed-use building. It has commercial storefront, and then it was 2 bedroom apartments up above. That's the way it was built. But this was being used by an entire family, extended family. So they shut the roll door here, and that was a living room for an elderly person who couldn't walk the stairs within their family. The floors here were sagging, but they had extended family living here. It was basically, they were using it as a single family house, but it was dangerous. Like the floors were about to collapse. The showers were just rotted away. Like there was just a giant hole where like a tile should be around the downspouts. It was just rusted and moldy. In every kitchen, in every bathroom, it was obviously, a situation where the repairs were not what the current owners could, afford to fix themselves. And they recognized that, and they're like, we need to sell and just basically move or buy a new place. So I started talking to them, and they were listing their property for $500,000. And again, this probably seems obscene for a 24-year-old with no money to start looking at properties that start at $500,000. But I was maybe naive or ignorant. But now this is my advice to you. Honestly, go look at any property. If you can find a property that's a good investment, you're going to be able to find the partners. And then with those partners, I'm going to walk you through how to create a joint venture agreement, when to get a LLC, things like that. So here we go, $500,000. I got a little tour of the home, meaning the owner directly, and based on nothing, I guessed that it needed $200,000 worth of work. So, oops, that's not what I want to do. Paint format. Sorry, $200,000 worth of work. I think I estimated this. Oh, that's right. So I brought my neighbor by who had just renovated his house, and I said, a young guy, and I said, I found this property. Maybe we can partner on this. Will you tell me how much the construction budget is going to be? So I brought him in. He gave me the quote, $200,000. That's what's happened. And we were looking at property at the time, and we said, well, if we buy this for $500,000, put 200 into it, we could sell this for $900,000, which would be the most expensive property ever sold in Red Hook. At that point, everything was selling for $800,000. So we were being a little bit ambitious, but we liked that, it had many uses. It's a single family in use now, but we were going to turn it back to the store and have 2 apartments up above. And I like to have as many outs as possible whenever I'm looking at property. So our outs were, well, if I can't sell it for $900,000, which would be pretty good, because if we could sell it for $900,000, our profit would be $200,000 split 3 ways. Sorry, I just put a $sign there, but this is 3 partners. The return would be $66,667. Sorry, guys. There you go. If that would be the case, 24 years old, making 43 years old, making $66,000 on a deal. That's awesome. That's a home run, right? So we thought we had a winner here. And so this is like, I feel like I'm on a lottery ticket. I use that phrase a lot. When I find an investment, I'm like, there's meat on the bone, lottery ticket. All I got to do is go find some partners, and get some money together. So, my friend had $100,000. So if we put 25, so we needed roughly the money for the renovation budget and the purchase price. My partner, the contractor, had $100,000. I had $50,000. I had just done, because I had a duplex that I rented out to my roommates, and that saved a lot. I think I got a bonus at work, but I had $50,000 saved up. And then we needed to raise another $150,000. So I got my friend's parent, who was interested in real estate and lived in New York, walked him through these numbers, and he was really excited about it. And he said he would put $100,000 into the deal. I actually ended up doing a HELOC to get an extra $50,000 on my property. So a HELOC is a home equity line of credit, which basically is a second mortgage on one of my previous properties that allows me to pull some money out. And I was able to get an extra $50,000 there. So it was a $300,000 investment, 30% of this $900,000, $100,000 from each of us. And so the way it worked was I put the deal together and I was able to talk them down in price. So I worked them down because this was before I had solidified my partners. But I worked them down to $400,000 on the purchase price of this multifamily mixed use. The renovation budget, once we got into it, was actually a little bit more money. And so it ended up costing us $220,000. And the way that we arranged the joint venture was this. If you just Google joint venture template, this is like the third result. And this is a great one. So I'm going to demonstrate it to you. And then I'm going to actually show you the similar one that we used. And so we came in and we formed an LLC. We called it Red Hook Renaissance. And so we just said the venture formed on this agreement date, the joint venture name, and we named ourselves an LLC. Now, what this does is it's an agreement signed by all parties prior to forming an LLC. Forming an LLC, you can go to a closing attorney or any attorney, and typically they can do it, and they'll probably charge you $500. You can also do it yourself. Whatever state you're in, you just go to the Secretary of State's website and form an LLC. Georgia's Secretary of State. Business search, licensing, corporations. You just go here and say, I want to form a corporation, file online. That's as simple as it is. And it'll probably cost $150. And you create a certificate of existence. So, and you can do all sorts of things within the Secretary of websites, but you can have an attorney to do it, or you can do it yourself. It doesn't matter. It's super, super simple and easy. I would recommend just doing it yourself. But the meat is within the joint venture agreement. So the purpose is more the contributions. The purpose is to buy a property, to renovate it. Contributions are how much money you're going to put into it. So a lot of these are, hey, Alan is going to put in 10% or $50,000, whatever it is. Typically, because I found the deal and I negotiated the deal, I sourced the deal, I did all these things, then I don't have to put in as much money because I'm putting in some work, right? And then because of that, part two is the contractor. My friends, the contractor is going to put in X amount of dollars. I've done joint ventures where the contractor puts in all the money and also does the work. I've done joint ventures where the contractor doesn't put in any money because he's doing the work to renovate the building. And then typically, and then maybe there's a third contributor who's putting in just money and not doing any work. And so this is all spelled out on the contributions. And then we do the distribution of profits. So that says once it's done, how is it going to be distributed? Just because you have three partners, it doesn't mean it has to be distributed three different ways. That's how I did my first one. Even though I sourced the deal, put in $100,000, my partner did all the work and put in $100,000. And then we got a third person who put in $100,000. And basically we let him not do any work because we couldn't have done the deal without him. We just needed his money. No, he's a good guy and he showed up, Jim, and actually helped and contributed way more than he even needed to, but that was also a bonus, but he wasn't obligated financially or legally to do that. And then there's a management section. It'll say who's responsible for what. The management team, this is management, who's going to make decisions, who's responsible for what decision making. We sort of combine that with the responsibilities of the party. So it said Alan Corey is going to be responsible for listing the property for sale, sourcing a real estate agent, things along the sale. Contractor, investor is going to be responsible for making all decisions and purchasing materials, installing the materials, and managing the subcontractors. And the third party is responsible for, whatever responsibility needs to be done. forming the LLC could be a responsibility that's in there. Managing the books, any sort of responsibility you can think of, you just put it here. So everyone knows how much money they're putting in, who's responsible for what, and what they're going to be paid. That's the essence of a joint venture. You can say non-exclusive. You can join other joint ventures. The term, how long is this going to be? How to terminate, how you get out of a contract. It goes on and on and on. So this is a great template you can use from. I will show you my joint venture. Now, I couldn't find the one from this deal, but I found the one that that's the contract. Where is the joint venture? But I found one that for the following deal that we did after this. Here it is. Okay. Let me make sure you can see this. I'll zoom in on the font here and I'll make myself smaller. Okay. Let me make this font size. A little bit bigger for you. Oh, that's massive. All right. Okay. So this is a similar thing. So this was the next property bought on Classen Avenue, but the joint venture agreement is entered into. I changed my investors' names. I actually haven't talked to them in 10 years, not for any other reason, but I don't live in New York anymore and we've all gone our separate ways. But joint venture agreement is entered in on March 4th by John Doe. That could be one of the investors' name, having an address at this street in Brooklyn. The other partnership is Red Hook Renaissance. So this was the company we had created. We had 3 partners for the purposes of building a house. And it tells where all the people lived and their addresses at that time. So that's the joint venture agreement, what it's all about. The name, we created a new LLC called 484 Classen Avenue. This was a property we bought after that because we were very successful in the first one. Purpose of the joint venture, name of investor 1. You can put it here. This sale of 293 Van Brunt. That was the house that we sold. We were going to sell 293 and 1031 the profits into a new property. That's a tax benefit where basically I don't have to pay capital gains taxes, but I can reinvest the money. And here's the responsibility. Acts by John. John is hereby authorized to actually deliver the contract, contribute $32,000 to the joint venture, and attempt to attain 90% acquisition financing. So one person was responsible for going to go get the loan. That's what we spelled out in this contract. Mortgage payments. John Doe was responsible for making the mortgage payments. That was his contribution. He only put $32,000 in, but he was going to make the mortgage payments as we go. The members of Red Hook shall be personally liable for reimbursing the payments if things went south. So he was there. Capital contributions. One person was going to put in $50,000. This collective that we had created, the 3 of us, Red Hook was going to contribute. Red Hook Renaissance was going to create $150,000. And then we just spelled out there'd be a $50,000 minimum balance at all times in our account for reserves, maintaining the property, financial matters, who's going to be the treasurer. You're just basically creating job roles and responsibilities. You're going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this person's going to do that. And how we're going to get reimbursed, the sale of the property, title, this person is going to be 28% of the profits, 72. This can all be negotiated. So every time I've done a joint venture, it's different. Sometimes it's 50-50. Sometimes it's 40-30. Sometimes a person puts in more money than someone else. There's no exact way of doing it. Basically, the goal is a joint venture is that you jointly agree on all the terms and you just spell it out. Just get a free template and you can make up your own. Like, it doesn't have to follow that template. You can add sections, you can remove sections. But the main point is who's involved, what are their responsibilities, how much money are they going to put in, and how much money are they going to receive out. And it typically, if the money putting in is spelled out in dollar amounts and the percentage coming out is, the money coming out is a percentage, because you don't know if the property is going to lose money or make money or how much money. So you can't say this person is going to get $100,000 at the end. You're going to say this person is going to get 10% of the profits, or this person is going to create 25% of the profits. It works exactly that way. So a lot of people feel comfortable hiring an attorney to do this. By all means, if that makes you comfortable, do it. Just know that attorney is not just going to be representing you. That attorney is going to tell you, I'm not representing any of these 2 parties or 3 parties or 4 parties or 5 people, in this partnership, but he'll work together to craft this for you if you want. That's just over time. We had an attorney at first, and then I've done enough of these that I don't use an attorney anymore. But it's this. I use the same templates over and over again. This is probably the best way to do a residential partnership. Commercial partnerships, much different. So commercial would be 5 units or more, strip mall, restaurant, mobile home park, standalone business. Those I would definitely use an attorney, and they're a little bit different. They're kind of like private equity deals. They've got a GP and LP splits, and you can have waterfalls. It gets very, very complicated. But what I just walked you through is for a residential purchase, 4 units or lower. And so from there, people are always asked, do I have to buy a property in LLC? And no, you don't. I would recommend getting a residential loan first and getting it in your name, because when you form an LLC and a joint venture, you have to get a commercial loan. A commercial loan is way more expensive than a residential loan. A residential loan is something that what I would go to for Jasmine Home Lending or JasmineTeam.com. JasmineHomeLending.com, Jasmine Team. You go there and they just evaluate you as if you're buying a primary residence. So they're going to look at your last 2 tax returns, your pay stubs, things along those lines, and your partners as well. And you can get one, you can make it one person's responsible for getting the mortgage in their name, and that mortgage is in their name, but all 3 of you are on the title. You could say all 3 of us are going to get underwritten for a mortgage, and they pull the credit score of all 3 of you, your pay stubs, things like that. Again, there's no one way of doing this. But I would recommend trying to not create an LLC on your first few deals, just because it's an extra cost. You can have a joint venture and not form an LLC, and then also go get a mortgage in your personal name, and that's printed up in the joint venture agreement. Because what you're looking at is, if you get something in your name, you're putting 20% down. Possibly you're buying a primary residence and you can get a little bit lower, or a second home, it would be 10% down sort of situation. If you use a residential loan, the interest rates are going to be what you see quoted right now, 3% range. If you get a commercial loan, you're probably going to have to put 25 to 30% down, and you're going to have maybe a 5 to 7% interest rate. So just know those are sort of the differences there. And so if you have questions on this, leave me questions on the live stream. Go to the Discord, which is in my link tree, House of AC Discord, or just ask me questions there, and we'll talk about the episodes. So let's keep walking down this path of where did this lead to? This joint venture that I created lead to? Well, it led to the sale of 293 Van Brunt Street. And if you're just joining now, let me share the screen. I'm still getting used to these controls. I apologize. All right. So if you're just joining now, I bought this building in Red Hook, Brooklyn, 293 Van Brunt Street. Sorry, doing way too much at once. That's what I looked like. All right. I've lost the link. I should just go back here. All right. 293. This is what it looked like. All right. This building, storefront on the bottom, 2 residences up top. We renovated. It was terrible shape. We fixed it up and we put it on the market, and our numbers were much higher. We thought, hey, why don't we try to sell the first $1 million property in Red Hook? At the time, comps were $800,000. We had caught a wave. The market had just sort of gotten really, really hot in Brooklyn. At that time, they had just announced that like the Brooklyn Nets were going to be coming from New Jersey Nets. Brooklyn was becoming its own city and not just like little brother of Manhattan. And so we actually listed the property for $1.1 million. Probably way too ambitious, but that's what happens when you get into this game. And we got our offer. We got an offer, and we agreed to the offer. And that offer was none other than, where's the photo? Here she is, Barbara Corcoran, looking at our building, 293 Van Brunt Street. After we renovated it, we negotiated $1,075,000 for this property. This was amazing, and you cannot see that screen. I apologize. This is Barbara Corcoran looking at our building at 293 Van Brunt. Babs stepping up in Red Hook. She bought this property, if you can see it now, $1,075,000. So this was a very successful, and she's now the queen of New York real estate, right? Because she was acquiring properties. She saw the potential. And to be honest, this gave me the confidence that I knew what I was doing. Like when Barbara Corcoran makes an offer on a property that you own, that you renovated, that you flipped, honestly, I felt, does she know more about this than I do? Like, should I be selling or should I be holding? Like, why? What does she see that I don't see? Like this woman is the queen of New York City real estate. How am I making the right decision? And but I was, because if you look at the numbers, what happens if we sell this for $1,075,000, right? What's our profit? Well, you can see here, we made $455,000. Imagine being 24 and doing a deal at $455,000, right? And again, 3 partners, and that return is what? Is get out of my way. There you go. This divided by 3. It's in the wrong font. Sorry, guys. $151,000. So here I was, a kid who's like, yeah, I'm making the right decision. I'm making $151,000 at age 24. Winning this property, didn't have the money to buy the property, negotiated $100,000 off the purchase price, found a partner who has money and willing to do the work, found another partner who just has money to get the deal. I went to go get a HELOC, home equity line of credit, a second mortgage on the duplex I bought last year to pull out an extra $50,000 so I could put money into this deal. We thought we would make $66,000, and we made $151,000 in about 9 months, a year's worth of effort. That is insane, and you don't see my screen here. So this is the numbers. This is how the numbers play out. Saved $100,000 on negotiation. It cost an extra $20,000. Oh no, we made a mistake. We thought it would cost $200,000, but it cost $220,000. We thought we could sell for $900,000, but we sold it for $1,075,000. We thought we'd make $200,000, but we made $455,000. Split between 3 partners. We had great returns. But again, I went into not this picture was very rosy. It was a home run, right? This was our really ambitious projections. But our backup plan was, hey, at the end of the day, if we can't sell this, we've got we have 2-bedroom renovated apartments that we can just rent out. We've got a storefront that we could just rent out. And our mortgage will be covered by that until we could sell it. So worst case scenario, we felt pretty good that, there's some meat on the bone here. Imagine if we sold this for $800,000. Still have a profit of $33,000. Imagine if we sold this for $750,000. We'd still profiting. Now, not as much, but even if we sold this for $700,000, we make $0. We'd get all of our money back. We're not losing money. We bought it for $500,000. That was the goal, $200,000. So we had a lot of, I say meat on the bone. Like we had a lot of room for error, and I'm always trying to be very conservative. And we hit these numbers at the end. So that was a huge home run where I was like, where Barbara said, I can make money off this at $1,075,000. And I'm like, wow, okay. Where's she going to take this? And this was on the front page of the New York Times. Now you can't tell now, but this was the front, this article about Barbara Corcoran buying my property in Van Brunt Street in Red Hook, Brooklyn, was on the front page of the New York Times above the fold in the real estate section the next day when she bought it, right? And I was like, damn, okay, Barbara knows what's coming. And then it gave me credence that, okay, I might know what I'm doing. And so it wasn't just a financial sort of say, well, I made a lot of money. I made a lot of money, and someone I respect and admire. And I had read her books. She had, her books. I used her agents at Corcoran Group and she was still buying my property. So this sort of fueled my confidence and said, okay, I know what I'm doing. And that's why I've gotten Barbara to endorse my last 3 books. So she's definitely been very helpful in my path and giving me what giving me motivation to go become a real estate investor. And this is the domino effect. She had mentors in her life, then she created real estate, portfolio, became a mogul. She's inspired me, and I've created a pretty good small business for myself. And I've created other people. I've helped influence Brandon Turner and a bunch of other real estate investors. And those guys are going to create it's a domino after a domino. And that's what I love about this game. It's just get started, because whenever you're buying a house from someone, you're helping that person. Whether you buy a renovated home or a home that needs work or just someone who's moved, by you purchasing their home, you're a part of their story and you're helping them, right? Otherwise, they have a need to sell. Whatever their need is, you've come in and saved the day and bought the property, and they were grateful for you, right? And then whatever you do with that property, you're going to benefit someone else, and you're going to influence someone else's life. Whether you turn that into rental, and you're going to influence your renter's life. Whether you sell that to another investor, that investor is going to see value. You're only going to sell if you see value. And so it's just it's really kind of cool, if, after 20 years, to see where who I sold to and what happened to that property and who bought it. This is not my only celebrity story. I'll share a story where I flipped another property to Christina Ricci. She's Adam on Wednesdays, she's Wednesday on the Addams Family. I flipped a property to her. And if you don't know who she is, this is Christina Ricci. Maybe you recognize her and a bunch of stuff. This is how I recognize her in these sort of gothy roles. But these are also mostly New York stories. A lot of celebrities live in New York, Los Angeles, similar things. But to me, the deal doesn't stop once it's over. Like, I like to see the past, the former history of the home, the past history of the home, not just the prices, the ownership, who owned it, why did they sell? It makes for great stories and great investor stories. So that is my story of how I met Barbara Corcoran and how I've gotten her endorsements in my books, but also how I created my first joint venture. These questions come up all the time. Again, if you're just joining right now, just Google joint venture templates. They're all the same. And I'm going to show you exactly, how to do it. Joint venture template. The one I used, any of these, free joint venture template. It's all going to be the same thing. Who are the parties, co-ventures, the contributions of that person, the management, the purpose, the profits, and the term. And you can add these other things. How do you get out of the contract? And all these different templates give you examples of how to get out of a contract. If you don't know the language, you just Google termination language of a joint venture agreement and termination of joint venture. Don't even have to spell it right. And then there's all of these joint venture termination agreements. So you can just copy and paste it from other templates. And you just walk through it that way. Really simple, really easy, really good way to get started. So if you're wanting to get started in real estate, you don't have the money, go find the deal. Once you find the deal, you can find the money. If you just show it on a spreadsheet, and because then you can attract investors. And once you have one success under your belt, it's much easier to attract investors for your second investment. And once you are successful in your second investment, then more investors want to invest in you in third. So you don't have to have money to get started. It helps. What you have to have is a reputation. What you have to have is a good deal. Can people trust you? And do you have a good deal? And then you put your money where your mouth is. You get investors to invest with you through this joint venture. You create a joint venture this way. Go out, get financing, and get the deal done. Typically, if you get a home renovation in any capacity, whether it's primary, in investment capacity, you're going to have to put 25% down of the purchase price and the renovation budget. So in terms of money that you need to raise, let's assume you buy a $600,000 building that needs $400,000. Again, these were the numbers that I was doing at 24 with no money. So you have no excuse. If you're like, I can't afford $1 million budget. I couldn't afford $1 million budget, but I found a way. $600,000 building, $400,000 renovation budget. That's $1 million project. A bank's going to say, I want you to have 25% skin in the game. So you add up those two numbers, 25%. So those two numbers is $1 million, 25% is $250,000. So that's the way you got to think about it. If you look at a home that's $300,000 and needs $100,000 work, that's $400,000 total. You're going to need $25,000. You're going to need $100,000, which is 25% to go get that deal done. And again, you don't need to have $100,000. You just need to have partners. So that's how you quickly eyeball, go figure out what you can buy a property for, try to figure out how much money it needs to be put in, and just take those two numbers and just know you need 25% of that. A bank will finance the rest. So how do you know what it needs? That's probably another episode, but at a minimum, bring a contractor with you. Or if you're using a realtor, which you should always use a realtor. They're going to find you off-market deals. They're going to know the contractors to bring on a walkthrough, showing on the property. But they'll both, if you bring a contractor, they'll give you an ballpark price. Realtor should probably have a ballpark price in their mind what it's going to cost. If not, all you have to do is ask a contractor, what's your price per square foot in your town to renovate? You don't even have to see the property. And they might say $150 a square foot, $250 a square foot, $500 a square foot, $1,000 a square foot. It depends what city you live in. But as long as you have that metric, you can call 3 contractors. They'll give you that metric on the phone, not even looking at the price. And then you can see, okay, well, I bought a $1,000 property. It's $250 a square foot. This is how much it's going to cost me. Or I want to add, you can say, I'm not going to renovate 500 square feet of this house. But I'm going to renovate the other 1,000 square feet of the house. Then you just get a quote for the 1,000 you're renovating. Or you take the house and you say, I'm not going to touch the house that's there. I'm going to add 2,000 square feet off the back. What's 2,000 square feet times the price per square foot a contractor give me? That's your ballpark budget. So you can kind of put those into a spreadsheet and go from there. So there you go, guys. That is how you size up a deal to flip it, how to get your joint venture, and then how to get celebrities to endorse your book. So all fun stuff. Thanks for tuning in today to the House of AC. Again, please go to my Discord. I'm really trying to grow this audience, and I'll answer all your questions and like-minded people. It's in my link tree, and I'm going to be doing these shows all the time. I'm trying to give you the QR code. Here it is. QR code on the screen. That'll take you to the Discord. Discord's probably new to you if you're over 25. A lot of this is new to me. I'm learning a lot. So if you're over 25, I know you don't know what a Discord is unless you have kids. I know what a Discord is, but this is where communities are being built right now. And I want to build a community of like-minded people. So please join the Discord. When you get a chance, there's also a phone app. So you can either download it on your app, or you can also do it on a website, or you can download a program that runs locally on your computer. Several different ways to access the Discord. And Guys, I'm having so much fun doing this. This is my first four episodes. This is fun. I get excited. I hope you're enjoying this. And please give me things that you're interested in talking about, because I will ramble on any topic that you find necessary. And this is what happens when you leave me a comment. Thank you, Racing Dan. You're thanking me. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one. Bye.